Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Broyans Farm. I'm starting out today here mixing up some fertilizer, specifically 17-4-17, which I'm gonna do at 300 parts per million, and then we can break it down later if we want to. But this is gonna mainly be for hanging baskets and then maybe some pots. But like I said, if I'm gonna water pots with it, I'm gonna probably break it down to at least 150 or maybe 200 parts per million. 300 is just a lot for that little baby amount of dirt. So it's gonna take, I'm gonna do 2 gallons around, let me double check that again. But I think it's gonna be, right here's the ratio. For 100 parts, at 1 to 100, it'll be almost 8 ounces. Meaning for 300, I'm gonna have to mix it, or triple that, so that's gonna be about 24 ounces. So it's almost gonna be 50 ounces of fertilizer, which is quite a bit. So now that I got that in my bucket, I'll take it down, get some warm water, and start mixing. Here in the high tunnel, the tomatoes are going crazy. I think I say that every single time I come in here. These definitely need to get tied again. If we get any kind of wind, that could flop over. These 2 rows, or maybe these 3 rows, something like that, were planted first with bigger tomatoes. And so you can just see the difference between these and those. And now the next step, besides tying them, is gonna be coming through here and getting these suckers growing out from the crease of each leaf. And we'll do that starting at the bottom all the way up until the first one below the first bud cluster. So we'll leave this guy go because right there's the first bud cluster, and then we'll snap off every other one, or every single one, all the way down to the bottom. And we'll do that with every single one. And after that, the plant won't look quite as full, but then it'll let all those nutrients go straight to the plant, and it'll grow up instead of just getting really, really bushy and going out. And we'll do that with every single tomato in this high tunnel and the lower one. Every single year, it just seems like somewhere in the high tunnel, we have 1 or 2 tomatoes that don't do as good. And it seems like this guy here might be one of them. Look at that plant. Look at that plant. And then there's this guy. Just kind of seems a little more pale. He's got some kind of funky coloration going on with the leaf. So I don't really know what's going to happen, but that's why hopefully Dad's going to be coming through here. He wants to get these suckers plucked off, and then he's going to spray them in case there is any kind of diseases that they have or could have in the near future. I don't necessarily look for 4-leaf clovers, but we have a lot around, or a lot of clover in general around. And I just looked down here and I seen a 4-leaf. Sammy loves these. One thing, if you like this video and you want to see more of what we're going to be doing here on the farm, especially since summer is just about to begin and we got a lot going on, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. That way you can follow along with what we're doing. The grass is very, very wet. We had rain 2 nights ago throughout the night, and then yesterday it rained all day long, which was kind of a good thing. We were getting pretty dry, good to get some moisture in the ground. The only problem was it didn't make it good for the Saylorsburg flea market on Sunday. So we ended up going on Saturday, and it was still kind of cloudy and gloomy. It was an okay day at the market, but it wasn't as good as I think it probably could have been if it was a bright, sunny, beautiful day. Turn this around. The hot water is just going to help that fertilizer dissolve better. You could do it with cold, but it takes a lot longer and you have to stir for a while to get all those granules mixed in. I just started the fertilizer up. So it's coming up through this line out of the fertilizer bucket. You can see it getting the last of the air bubbles out. It goes into the dosatron here. That's what's sucking it up. And then this is where my main water comes in. So it comes in, I shut off my bypass, putting it on to go through. And as it comes through, the fertilizer hits the water, comes back out, and goes through not only the hose if I want it to, but also all of my lines for all of my hanging baskets. You don't want to do too many rows at one time. So right now I'm just doing 2. I can do up to 3, but I'm probably gonna do 2 rows, 2 rows, and then 2 rows. Just kind of makes it easy. And then it depends on how heavy the baskets are for how much I'll water them. Usually if they're pretty dry in a 10-inch hanger, I'll do like 10 to 12 minutes. These guys aren't real dry because like I said, we've been having some rainy weather, so I'm gonna do probably 5 to 8 minutes, somewhere around that. And then not only will I do the timer, but I'll also go and just lift up on the baskets, because after doing it for so long, I kind of know how much they should weigh, you know, just when lifting it. I got done watering and now I come up here to the strawberry field. We want to fertilize these berries one time before, you know, the U-pick starts. And so there's definitely some weeding to be done, but they look really good as far as I can tell. Not many frozen ones. Hopefully we don't get a frost anytime soon here. And the plants definitely got bigger, and this fertilizer is only going to help that, make them even bushier. Because really what you want to see is the way they look at the upper portion of the field where we planted them by hand with the bare roots. And there's definitely a clear difference. You can see how much bushier the plant is. Now also, you're talking 2 totally different varieties. So, you know, take that as you want to. You can see how huge the blossoms are. They're gonna be big berries. I don't know if this is Goleta or exactly what variety this is. But anyway, the fertilizer is only gonna do them good. Definitely no harm. These down here are loaded with blossoms. And like I said, I can't really remember the varieties. I'd have to go back in the books and look. But I'm hoping that they all do good, regardless of variety. I'm pretty sure these are Goleta down here. And I know these came from Norris Farms. Yeah, they look great. So we'll see. I know one thing that Tim Norris told us before he retired, which I think he actually retired this year, was that you don't need a big plant to get a lot of strawberries. He kind of made the joke, you know, people aren't eating the leaves, and that's completely true. It's just, you know, you want to see a big, healthy, bushy plant, or at least I do anyway, along with a lot of blossoms and strawberries. But anyway, what I'm going to be doing now is setting up the whole irrigation line. We still have everything laid out, but nothing is set up because we had to take everything down when it came to winter. So Dad said the electric fence is off. When he sprayed, he had it turned off. I'm gonna go out here and make sure, just before I start hitting it with my legs or something and then get zapped. I know specifically this row right here, I don't remember the variety again, but I do remember we had a lot of trouble with just like mortality and plants dying. So we went back through with a different kind that we had left and planted it. And so I'm pretty sure this is the variety that was supposed to be here, and then all the ones with the blossoms are the ones that, you know, we had to come back through and fill in with. So it's kind of cool. Like I said, obviously we do have some weeds here and there, but compared to our last like 2 or 3 fields that we have done with strawberries, it's like night and day. Like usually you would look out through here and there'd be huge patches of just missing berries, and at least now it's almost solid strawberry plants. Well, holy cow, I don't even know how this solar panel can work with all the bird crap on it, but it is off. Now it's on. Now it's off. As long as we don't get a frost, and I'm praying we don't, we should have the most strawberries we've had since the first year we've ever done strawberries, which was our best year we've ever had. So fingers crossed. How we're gonna water this field is we have a pond right down there below our barn. We have underground piping that comes all the way up and surfaces right here. We'll then run a line from there into our sand filters. Obviously, that'll filter out any debris. Then it'll come into our blue lay flat, which we left here since last season. It'll go all the way out to the middle of the field where it splits. And then it'll go underneath all the plastic where we have our drip line. And so I just got this hooked up right here, as you can see, obviously. And then I have a splice right here, which I'm gonna undo. And that's where my fertilizer injector is gonna go in, and then I can obviously just clamp it. It's good to go. If I don't wanna fertilize, and let's just say we haven't had water in a while, well then I can just take that out and run regular water, no big deal. Or I think I can just probably run clean water right through this if I wanted to, and just shut off the injector part of it, which is right here, and then this would go in a bucket of fertilizer. Only ever used this once, worked really good, so I'm pretty excited to use it again. This is pretty simple. Take those clips out, that'll open, so will that. There's actually still water in it, which I'm sure is kind of gross. And then this, well, I'm gonna get some paper towel and clean this off. and then this will fit right in. Okay, there. Try and tighten them down evenly. You can. There's that. And then I'll put these pins back in. That way they can't come back open and start spraying water everywhere. Okay, so I just got out here to the middle of the field. Well, not really the middle, but where we have our header line. And so this is my pressure regulator. And what this does is once I hook, again, that blue lay flat up to here, let's just say we have too much pressure or not enough pressure, this thing will obviously regulate it. And there's little plastic inserts in there that'll come out and push in according to how much pressure we have, just because not all the pumps are perfect, and you know, it's just you have different water pressure at different times. And so now I'm gonna hook that blue lay flat here, and then I'll hook my black, I can't think what this is called, black, I don't know, I'm just gonna call it black pipe up to there. And then if I wanted to, I could water half the field and shut the other half off, vice versa. And I just, you know, wire tie these up so no mice went in them over the winter. And yeah, pretty simple. Obviously, like I said, way out there where those trees are is where the end of the field is. And then those arborvitaes is where it ends over here. I don't remember the yardage or the feet exactly now, but I know that this is obviously way longer. So I'll get this off of here. It's pretty good. Make sure everything's clean. Luckily it's already kind of stretched because usually it's a pain to get on from last year. And then I already have my clamp here. And I'll tighten that. All right, so everything's hooked up. Well, just about everything. I'll hook my fence back up, turn the electricity back on. Then all I gotta do is get this line to go from here to here, and we're just about ready to start fertilizing. This is also new for us this year. I don't know if you guys have been following along, but if you haven't, this is a solar powered fence. Very simple, well, pretty simple and easy to set up. Obviously, this is a 3-acre field, so it takes some time, but it's about the cheapest you could possibly do to keep the deer out. Because one problem that we've been having over the past couple of years, especially here on the farm, is deer come in here and not only do they eat a lot of the strawberry plants almost down to nothing, but then they start punching holes in all the plastic, and then with that hole being open, a weed grows up through. And this is a perfect example right here. This is a hole from a strawberry plant that didn't grow, and now it's growing up with a thistle and some grass. And so it's just so nice to have full strawberry plants, not only because we're gonna have strawberries there, but also to keep the weeds out. I am really excited to see how big these berries get, because these blossoms are some of the biggest I've ever seen. I mean, just look at that. Right here's a tag. I think these are AC Valley. These here are Cabot, which is new. We never planted those before. I don't know where they're right. Here's a tag. This is also Cabot, which I think I remember that. Those two on each side of the drive are the same. These are Dickens, which this Dickens, and I think Cabot was the variety that didn't do good, or maybe it was just Cabot. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure this is Dickens as well. And then we move into, well, I don't know because there's no more tags. I just went down and grabbed my red lay flat. Then it gets reduced to the 2-inch or 3-inch. I can't remember what that blue is. Then, like I said, it goes in this in filter, goes out through the fertilizer injector, and then out to the field. So everything up here now is set up. Now I gotta head down to the farm, get the irrigation pump out, get that down by the pond, and get that all hooked up. So I just got the pump down here to the pond, and then I went and grabbed the red flex line that's gonna go from the pump to the underground line. And that should be about all I need, I think. This is the outlet. It's gonna go from here to this one right here. So I got that line hooked up, and then this is my suction line that goes to the pond. That's hooked in. So now we're basically ready. Besides the primer, which is gonna go here, basically you'll just work it and you'll suck that water from the pond up to here. That way the water can start flowing. But then once that's in, we should be ready. Besides all just the basic stuff that we got to do every single time we start the pump up, which is just opening that valve and, you know, cracking the other lines going up the lane. But we won't be irrigating until tomorrow, so at least that'll be all ready now. I'm gonna head back up to the greenhouses and see what's going on in there. Mom's rhubarb here along the barn is doing really good. My God, that leaf is huge. It's one of the biggest rhubarb leaves I think I've ever seen. This is kind of more average right here. Must be two different kinds. Okay, that's beautiful. Pop's gonna be excited when I show him this, because that one's more like a green stem and this one more of a red stem. First rhubarb harvest of the year. When I was younger, I used to just slice it thin and eat it raw with some sugar. But now my pap makes rhubarb pie, which is probably my favorite way to eat it. While I was working on the irrigation, Dad was here in the high tunnel getting these pruned. He said the same thing, they're getting really big really fast. And now if you remember, none of those leaves on the creases are there. Every row is done, upper and lower. And now because it's kind of like an open wound on the plant, my dad's gonna come through and spray them. Not only to cover that up, but also just because, you know, they need to be sprayed again, just to keep them healthy. Finally, the baskets are starting to cascade down over. Everything looks like a little bit not as big from down below because obviously you're looking up at it. But when it's like, you know, eye level, you almost can't see the basket no more, which is really cool. I really like those colors. They're pretty nice. I like this basket here a lot, which is a pink calibrachoa and bacopa. This is another one of my favorites, which is purple calibrachoa, purple verbena, and the white calibrachoa. That's just some spent flowers. That's what I'm calling it a wrap for this video. As always, thank you guys for watching, and always remember it ain't much, but it's honest work.